Alright, what's going on guys, Liam here, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys what I think is the new best Paragon 150, max level, whatever, death build, and for the most part, a lot of stuff hasn't changed, but I think you guys might be surprised with what I came up with. So yeah, we're just going to hop into the stats right away. You get 10,800 health on a death. Yeah, that's almost 11,000 on a school that can hit decently and drain. So honestly, that health stat is pretty hot in my opinion. You get 132 damage, 57 res, and 85 flat. Now, 57 isn't like 67 res, like you don't need to run res on a death. You can if you want, but honestly, 57 is pretty beefy. It's kind of like in the middle. It's not like 50, it's not like, 67. 57 is like a good middle ground of having decent res. You're not too squishy, you're not too tanky, you know. So honestly, I feel like this is a very, very solid number to sit around. Perfect accuracy, decent crits, decent block, and 36 armor piercing with perfect pips and 142 shads, which is very solid. The only thing lacking about this setup is probably the pip conversion, but you don't really need it too much in this meta, to be honest with you. You can crank that up if you want, if you use the duelist deck instead. I just don't have it, so let's say you get the duelist deck, you'll probably have about, I want to say about 380 critical and maybe 450 block with 25% pip conversion, right? And basically, yeah, I'll show you guys the build. So we're still rocking the Goon hat. I did want to run the Merciless hat, but honestly, I tried for like an hour and a half, guys, 2 hours. I switch and swapped the Gulcha robe. I did so much different combinations, and I couldn't get it to work because the issue is, if you run this hat, right, even if you have a 15% jewel here, you still have a 1% chance of fizzling. So if you want to take that risk and fizzle, by all means, go ahead. But I don't think it's worth taking that risk fizzling when your damage is already above like 130, 125 on the damage intersection, right? So I didn't think it was worth it. So I'm still just running the Goon hat so I don't base fizz, you know. I still get, decent critical. I still get, more accuracy. I get a bit more health. It's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, I'm around the Goon hat. Still the Motorist robe. You can do turquoise builds as well. Now on the death, if you want, I'll probably have a video out with that pretty soon explaining why it's so good right now. But yeah, Motorist robe. Then I'm using the Merciless Death Shroods. The reason I'm using these is you get that extra pip. Just that one extra pip allows you to get 100% pip chance, which, is kind of a big deal because a lot of people pip fail with 99, right? Also, you get one extra res. So again, that one extra res, it just really gets you one step closer to 60, which is a decent middle ground in terms of resist, right? And yeah, I don't know. I think these boots are pretty good. You get 5 damage as opposed to the hat that gives you 4 damage, right? You only lose about like 20 30 crits. You gain some shads. And you get Brace item card. I mean, if that's your thing, go for it. But I just play too aggressive to really want to Brace. So I'm using the Supreme Wand. Again, an executive upgrade. You can get these anywhere dropped in heap. Really, I actually got pretty lucky on my 4th character I was questing and got dropped in the dungeon cell area in heap, kinda. I did craft the Merciless a thing here. If you guys are curious about how to craft this stuff, I have a video on the channel, a Lemuria crafting guide if you need help finding the old one artifacts and Cynthiums. But yeah, basically, this gives you like 100 more health than the Uber. You get 10 more block, 2 more damage, and an extra heal. So better in every single way. Again, you can craft this, or you can get it from the final boss of Lemuria. Next up, I am running this thing. The only 2 other alternatives are Goon, but you almost lose 100 health. It's about the same block. You lose 2 res. Now you could argue, yeah, you get the set bonus and you get these cards, but I like this new card because the Ship of Fools item card. It's basically like an AoE, which is what people use the goon for. So basically, you get the better slots, really, and you still get an AoE, right? So I think it's pretty solid, personally. I think it's worth it. If you were going to use this with the goon hat, you would get the extra accuracy, but seeing as we don't need it with this build, I figured just to crank up our stats as much as possible, right? Also, another thing I want to compare this to is the Uber one. You could use the Uber one if you want, but if you do the math out with the flat res, you still technically get more health and stuff. From the Merciless one, you get, 5 more block, yada yada. You can actually use your item card in PvP, and this one you can't, so I think the Merciless was worth upgrading to. Then, obviously, the Aphrodite ring, that part has not changed yet. I'm still using this pet, honestly, guys. There's this pet and another pet. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now, but this pet is so good. Reason being, this Death Scarab card, I'm gonna have another video with this coming out in the next couple of days. There's so much content I'm about to bring to the channel for y'all, but this card right now, with the way Death is right now, I think the best way to play it is just strike and try and get buffs and just hit and drain. So if you just strike, pop a Death Scarab, it's like a hidden buff, like a Rain Beetle, kinda. That can really help a school like Death out, right? Then obviously you got the 235 pack cards, which is nice, and the pet looks pretty cool, so hey, bonus points. Obviously, Clockwork Courser, I could use the Gulcher, but if I use the Gulcher, I'm technically only getting like, 2 damage, right? Or 2 or 3 damage, but I don't think it's worth it since it's intersected damage, right? Anytime you're above 125 damage, I would recommend having a Clockwork Courser on as opposed to a damage mount, whether that's the Fossil Avenger or a Gulcher. But if you're below the 125 threshold, then I would recommend, a Gulcher or the Fossil mount for the set bonus. I hope that makes sense. Then yeah, I'm using the Omen deck right now. It's not terrible. You're gonna want this one or the Duelist one. I don't really care about the pick reserve though. The most annoying part about this probably is the 6 Surge copies, but I don't really notice myself losing because I don't have 6 Surges, because for the most part, with how my deck is, I use it on a Drain, a couple of Poisons, maybe a Mash or 2, so I'm only using about, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 anyways, so it doesn't really bug me too much. Then the extra health here as well is pretty nice to get that 10,800, so yeah, guys, that is the death build. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. The reason I think it's so good is because you're so tanky with how much res you have. Like, it's not a lot, but it's enough to the point where it can feel like a decent amount of resist, right? And then you keep a lot of health, and then your damage stats are just absolutely nuts. And not to mind you, your stats are just perfect all around the board, right? So your shad generator, basically. You can hit really hard with your pierce and your damage and drain effectively. There's not really a big downfall to this setup in my opinion, but yeah, feel free to let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, take care, guys.